Hello and welcome. We've launched a video series called Simulator Preparation for Airline Assessments. These videos are taken from one of our larger live events. As the video of that was over an hour, we've decided to break it down into this series, which forms like a mini course. Each video goes about a component of the simulator assessment. They are very short versions in a way of an introduction of what you can find in our dedicated course, Sim Preparation course, which you will need as you prepare for your sim assessment before going for your first practice session with any provider. For now, enjoy the first video in the series, Simulator Preparation for Airline Assessments, Part 1, where we talk about the all-important 5 key pitch settings. So the sim assessment for an airline selection is different from any other sim exercise that you will ever do in your career. It is different from what you did at flight school. It's different from the MCC. It's different from a type rating type sim. It's different from an LST and from an. It is a completely different exercise altogether. Why is it different from MCC? Is because at MCC, you have the automatics most of the time. You fly very little raw data. You fly a bit of raw data, and if the instructor is nice, they will teach you how to fly raw data in a nice way. But it's not the point of the MCC at all. So now you're arriving at the assessment, and the last thing you've done is 5 or 10 MCC sims, and you have very little depth of knowledge on how to fly the sim assessment, which is without an autopilot, without a flight director, without the map. Print this in your mind. You don't have the map. You have only a ROSE VOR followed by a ROSE ILS in most assessment sims. And in some of them also, you won't have the Autothrottle. Okay. You had all of that in the MCC. You had the map in the MCC. Two things that are important to know here is you don't have the map, like I said, and you don't have the flight director, which means you take off in the blue sky with just a pitch target. Okay. That's something to be rehearsed. Okay, so now to do this properly, you would want to have some sound handling techniques. So for this, the two main things that you must know is the 5 key pitch settings, but also the 320, and you need to know the pitch speed vs triangle. Good. And for the instrument flying, also you need to be good at spatial orientation and situational awareness on a plane that only has needles. You need to know how to get back to the airfield with just one needle. Okay. And then, of course, you need to have the right behaviors between PF and PM, because assessing behaviors is a very, very big part of the sim. These 5 key pitch settings, there are 5 configurations that you must know, and they will work whatever the weight of the plane. But anyway, during your sim assessment, you'll always fly the plane roughly at the same weight, which is you'll be roughly at 60 tons, below max landing weight, and that's it. So the speeds are pretty much all going to be the same, with a green dot that's at around 220 knots, or the flap up speed will be at around 220 knots. So that's fairly easy. Now for these pitch settings, the thrust, the idea with them is that 4 of them are level so that you can configure the plane, and you always configure the plane level. And the last one is a 3-degree on the glide. And the thrust will vary very little. It will be between 50 and 60%, except for one setting where the thrust will be higher when you have all the drag just before you go down on the glide. These pitches, they don't change with the weight of the plane, but the speed will vary if the plane is lighter. Okay. But anyway, if you know these pitches, you can fly this plane whatever the weight. So it's quite magical. It's really great to know it. So you memorize the pitch and you memorize the configuration, the pitch, and then the thrust will not vary very much. You'll have to memorize that as well. And then it works whatever the weight. What will happen is if the weight is lower, your resulting speed will change. So for instance, if your flap up speed on a Boeing or your green dot speed is 220 knots on a heavy plane, on a lighter plane, it will be 210 knots, but the pitches, they will be the same. Okay, good. So these are the 5 key pitch settings. The pitch 1, you're at flap up, 250 knots level. Okay, so basically you're at 6,000 feet there and you're on your intermediate approach. Pitch 2, you're slowing down. So you go to flap up speed, which 737 pilots called bug up speed still today, flap up speed level. So you're slowing down. So your pitch will increase a bit, of course. And then you're going to take one more stage of flap, flaps 5, and then flap 5 speed, as you say on a Boeing, which will bring you to around 190 knots. And then you're going to pitch up again. Every time you pitch up by 1.25 degrees. At some point then, you're going to end up descending, yeah? Because initially you were at 6,000 feet, then you slow down. You would try and slow down when you're level. That's the whole idea of this. And then at some point you descend, and then you do another slowdown and config, and then you descend. And so when you arrive here at the 4th, you're now sort of on very long final, and now you're going to take gear down, flaps 15, and you're going to take flap 15 speed, and you're going to fly level. And this is where, after that, you're going to intercept the glide. And so this sort of config, if you do it a bit early, then you're going to end up, you pitch up again. So pitch 1 was at a certain point, again, 1.25 degrees every time. And then you arrive at pitch 4, and now you have quite a lot of drag. So you may have to go as far as 75% of thrust, okay? And then after that, you have to pitch down a lot, more than 5 degrees. You pitch down almost 6 degrees, and you take flaps 20 and then flaps 30 on the glide, okay? So there's a whole technique to use this that takes time to detail, and that we detail in the sim preparation course, but I'm going to try in the frame of this presentation to give you as much as possible. So already you had the pitch setting. So this is a drawing that we have in the sim preparation course. And typically you see that the first one is here. It's between 2.5 and 5 degrees. And you would have your square here that would fit in here, the pitch target. And then pitch 1, pitch 2, pitch 3, pitch 4. Okay. And then the last one, you pitch down quite a lot and you arrive below what was the pitch 1. You arrive between 0 and 2.5. Okay. So that's the whole idea. And then there's a whole lot more to learn about the go around pitch and all of that. But these 5 key pitch settings, they are really useful, because if at any point you have to get back to basics in accordance to your speed and your configuration, you can put the pitch first and then put the thrust, and everything else will stabilize. So it's really something that you will want to master. So the best way to learn it, in my view, is to learn it through the sim preparation course. But what you can do is, when you go and prepare, is to ask your sim preparation company. They will do it for you, and we can recommend some, but you can find some yourself as well. And you ask them to show you this. Okay, ask them that, how to configure the plane from 250 knots, flaps up. And they should be able to teach you. The problem is, if you go to a sim preparation center and they teach you this on the day and you only had one session, then you're not going to have learned it. So it's going to take you a bit of time to process it, and you might not be able to be proficient immediately. Okay, so that's why we created the course. Okay, now the sim preparation course is the only e-learning course for sim selection. And this is a course that adds a lot of operational knowledge. I like to say it's a sim preparation and operational knowledge course. Now you will see in the pricing that actually it's not a very big step from advanced interview course to the gold package, which gives you the CV and cover letter and the sim preparation course. So it gives you a lot more. And I think it's a really great course to start to really understand what is the life of an airline pilot, on top of learning how to fly the plane. So again, I will invite you, I'll give you a QR code in a second. You can go and check the video I've recorded there to explain the detail of the course. And so now we have also these aircraft fact sheets, which in the case of the 7.3 includes an explanation of the MCAS and some more information that will be useful to you. And this is the QR code where you can get the course now. Okay, you can download our app as well. If you want to contact me directly, you can. I go on Discord. Come and see us on Discord. You can subscribe and like the channel. It will be a pleasure to get to see you again very soon.